anything worthwhile. So let's get to something worthwhile, which is probably Brad's favorite prospect profile that we are going to do. Swedish winger, one of the top ranked prospects in the NHL draft, and a favorite for a lot of Red Wings fans at 4th overall. Left winger out of Frolunda in the SHL, Lucas Raymond.
Lucas Raymond. Arguably the type of player the Red Wings need more than any other in this draft. An all-around offensive dynamo who can score goals and create plays. He's an excellent playmaker. Probably when it comes to edge work and agility, the best skater in this draft. North-south, not even close, but he's at least above average in that respects. Terrific hockey IQ. Fantastic shot. I mean, you don't want to take small sample size and recency bias into a decision this big, but he has had a fantastic preseason in the SHL and played 2 fantastic games to start the SHL season. I think he's got a goal and a primary assist already in 2 games. Apparently he added a lot of weight in the offseason, so you could tell he was taking his training very seriously. Dominated almost every international tournament he's played in, and that's usually as an underager, a double underager, and in some cases a triple underager. The guy is a freak despite being undersized. So what does that mean for the Red Wings? I think that if Lucas Raymond is drafted by the Red Wings, he is their best prospect by a country mile, and it's not particularly close. I would expect within 5 years he is the best player on the Red Wings. He is that special. There is no aspect of the game of hockey I would call him weak. His defensive game is a work in progress, and his physical game is a work in progress. But when you're sub 6 feet tall, I think that just comes with the territory. He's not afraid, though. He'll play to the middle of the ice. He'll play in traffic. He'll play along the boards, and he does it well. He is just so dynamic. That is the word that jumps to me with Lucas Raymond. He makes things happen however they need to happen, whether that's with his skating and his edge work, his shot, his creativity, his playmaking, his zone entries. This guy, it's unfair to call him a jack of all trades because that makes it sound like he's a master of none, but he's a master of a bunch. I love the guy. He steps up in big situations. Hat-trick in the gold medal game of the U18s, including the overtime winner against Yaroslav Askarov to win Sweden that gold medal. He stepped up in these big games constantly. I mean, there's nothing to not like about this guy's game. He's exciting and skilled.
Raymond, for me, is obviously he's a winger, and that puts him at a disadvantage up against the other 2 premier candidates at that spot, excluding any of the top 3 falling out, which are Perfetti and Rossi, who are both listed as centermen. Raymond is
debatable on Perfetti.
Yeah, Raymond is skilled enough and dangerous enough offensively and incredibly intelligent, and his hockey IQ is so high that he is legitimately projected to be a line driver from the wing. No one is even doing that thing where they say, oh, he's so talented, we'll move him to center and we'll use his skills there. No, he's projected to be a line driver from the wing. That is how talented he is. You want elite talent? Look at his skill with the puck. Look at all the different ways he beats defenders. He can make them look stupid with the puck on a stick, dishing out a pass, like seeing a play that isn't there yet, but reading it in advance. He is the quintessential, when you want high hockey IQ, here's who you look for. Like that, the way he plays the game just screams he sees everything on the ice as it's happening and before it happens. And like Brad said, there's some, like he's almost a little over scouted because people are trying to find flaws in his game, but I really don't think there is a huge one. And the biggest thing that he did at this offseason was get, heavier and faster. He got stronger and faster, which is amazing because, as you said, Brad, his north-south skating, wasn't like phenomenal, but his edge work is so good. And that's what I care most about. I want a guy who can, his first 5 steps are fantastic. I want a guy who can cut and have a low, wide, strong stance while he deploys his incredible puck skills. And he's still got quicker north-south. Lucas Raymond, you think of how good you have to be as a solid winger. You are not playing anything other than wing to compete against the projected centerman in draft rankings. The guy has elite hands. He has elite hockey IQ. He's a phenomenal playmaker. I think his shot has a lot of room to improve, and I can see it improving a lot as well. If the Red Wings take Raymond and he is in the mix for my favorite at 4th overall, I think they have a guy they don't have to be worried about that he won't play center, because I think he's a first line driver, a power play 1 quarterback. That's who you're looking at. And if you swing and a miss on Lucas Raymond, then at least you're shooting for the stars. You're trying to knock it out of the park, and that's what he could be.
I think Raymond plays. I think he's a pretty safe bet because he has enough abrasiveness in his game. Not that that's his thing, but like he doesn't need to play on a top line to be effective. He could play on your second or third line and still be very effective because A, his game's adaptable, and B, he is a line driver. And if you want to look at, again, we're relating this directly to the Red Wings and their 4th overall pick, he has one distinct advantage over the other 4 forwards around him in the draft. When you look at Byfield and Stützle and Perfetti and Rossi, he shoots right. The right side of the Red Wing system is almost literally non-existent. Their top prospect on the right side right now is Sam Gagner. There is nothing there. They all shoot left, every one of them. It's just an endless sea of left-handed forwards, and you have this Wunder kid who shoots right coming in. I mean, all things being equal, if you consider Perfetti and Raymond to be of equal skill, equal talent, I mean, tiebreaker probably goes to the right shot here. So Sam Gagner has someone to finally offset him on the right side.
Ryan, we already have an elite skating offensive player. His name's Darren Helm.
Oh, my God.
Correct that in the notes.
Did you drink before this episode, Evan?
What's that? Sorry?
Did you drink before this episode?
No.
It's the painkillers.
Yes.
Anyways, keep going with your analysis.
I think one reason why he was so low, because I was looking at a lot of the consolidated draft boards, and a lot of them had him at like 7, 5, 8, blah, blah, blah. And I think that really alludes to his lack of ice time with Frolunda last year. I think they're fairly stacked team, and his points per game was significantly lower than other guys who've gone high in the draft, like Elias Anderson or Capocacco, for example. But the thing that I really like about someone like him is he already plays in a men's league. And this early glimpse of him this year is showing that he has the ability to already play in a men's league in a bigger role. And I think last year he averaged like less than a minute of power play time a game, which is nothing. Whereas some of these other guys are playing in their OHL junior teams and they're playing the entire game. So I like knowing that he can already excel in a men's league. And he definitely has the potential to be like a 3rd overall pick. I think he just needs to get a little bit bigger and continue to develop. So I would almost be shocked if he's there at 4.
Yeah, that's a great point, Evan, and it's going to lead to this conversation here, which is that it's not popular with a lot of people because a lot of people don't like when rankings change, and there's, people are saying, oh, you're just bandwagoning and there's a lot of recency bias, and like, look, that's all very fair.
I mean, I would rather, evaluate players on their most recent performances. You'd obviously take the body of work into account, but if Lucas Raymond's playing right now and he looks bigger, stronger, faster, already playing in a men's league, that would definitely make me reevaluate where I have him on my list.
Again, if all things being equal, if you had 2 months ago, Cole Perfetti and Lucas Raymond, again, I'm using these two hypothetically because they're both wingers and they're both highly skilled and they play relatively similar games. If you had them at a dead heat, the fact that Lucas Raymond is currently performing at one of the highest levels in the entire world, yeah, that's recency bias, but that's also confirmation in some ways of what you thought of Lucas Raymond. So yeah, that should be your tiebreaker. It shouldn't be the reason you pick him, but it's more information. You now have a wider sample size to evaluate this prospect. And you're going, wow, his sample size got bigger and it's more impressive. There's no negatives to that. That shouldn't dissuade you from picking him because of that. Oh yeah, we can't pick him. He's been too good lately. People will think it's recency bias. No, it's confirmation of what you already thought. And if you didn't think that 2 months ago, you can look at this as an aberration and go, yeah, but we don't think he's going to keep it up. It shouldn't change your mind per se. I mean, it should because he's unreal. But if you were that against him, this small of sample size won't sway you. But if you were high on him, yeah, it's just confirming what you thought.
Yeah, if you're it's vindication also for Lucas Raymond, I might say, because he's a player obviously who wanted to have a bigger role, and there were scouts who weren't big on him because they didn't have that kind of exposure to him. And there was people who were, banging their fists on the table for him because they saw what was there. And so if he continues to do this, it's vindication for him. It's him saying, yeah, I am the player that some of you who thought I was, and thank you for seeing that. And for the rest of you, screw you. This is what you're missing out on. If you're a Red Wings fan who wants the absolute highest potential from that pick, I really see Lucas Raymond as being a great option for that. Not saying Perfetti can't be, not saying Rossi can't be, but in terms of overall absolute highest ceiling, like everything absolutely goes right in their development. This player pans out to 100% of their ability. I think Lucas Raymond has just the amount of a level of skill that could be game breaking in the NHL. That right shot off the left wall is very, very attractive. Lucas Raymond, potential 4th overall pick for the Red Wings, one of the most likely 4th overall picks for the Red Wings, provided he's there and Ottawa doesn't get too hot to trot on him 3rd overall. So that is a player to look out for. If you have not watched Lucas Raymond's highlights, well, the good thing for you is that he's continuing to make them right now. More on him to come pre-draft, of course, but for now, that is our Raymond profile. Wheeler had a Q&A, and he mentioned that the Red Wings have been linked to both Perfetti and Raymond. So
I would hope so.
And yet Helene St. James keeps trumpeting Drysdale. So who the hell actually knows? We are less than 10 days out, and nobody knows anything, which makes for great content. So I thank Stevie for being so goddamn secretive.
When's the draft again, Ryan?
October 6th.
Okay.
Yeah. My blood pressure, though, very high. Although I don't feel like I have 3 players in my mind who I'd be like thrilled with, and probably 4 more who I'm still also probably thrilled with. Like I can't sit here and say I hate a lot of players, but we're going to get to that. That's a bigger conversation.
Who are your 3? Just say the names.
Perfetti, Rossi, Raymond.
If we're not counting Byfield and Stützle, I'm same with those 3. And then if it's Drysdale or Holtz, I'm less happy, but still happy. And then if it's Askarov, I'm going to be processing that for a few months.
Brad is pulling a Ryan and giving us the full essay. I just said names. Give me the names.
Brad's doing it this time, not me. I'm learning.
I'm here for the content, Evan.
Ryan, you're learning after very long YouTube critiques. I appreciate it, though.
I always do get the novels.
Thanks for tuning in to the Winged Wheel Podcast. Be sure to check out wingedwheelpodcast.com, where you can subscribe to the show on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. You'll also find links to other ways to support the show, such as Patreon, official podcast apparel, and more. And don't forget to follow the show on Twitter at Winged Wheel Pod. And of course, the hosts at Brad Crisco, at Ryan Hanna WWP, and at Hockey Town Evan.